Yo, JD here, Tyrrell Limus, and as you can see here, we're back in Inside Line Racing League, and this was the 5th round of the championship. This was at Austria here today, and as you can see, wet conditions for the qualifying, where I managed to actually come, I believe, P4 in this one here, and wasn't too optimistic to come into this track, especially since it was wet as well. It was definitely going to be a damage limitation track, as Leopard, my rival for the championship, who I'm 1 point ahead of at this point in the league. He qualified P2. We have 5 lights here and not getting a good start because I decided to go on the soft tyre for this race itself, which is the alternate strategy. Have a little bit of contact in the first corner and yeah, not a good start to that race here. Really wasn't happy at the time, and I think if people watched my stream, I think they could probably tell I really wasn't happy, where I almost felt like I was returning the favour there, managing to get the move or get the 2 positions back again. But then on the next lap, Morso goes down the inside, who does a very fair move. And honestly, this race, I kind of just lost my head. And I want to apologise to everyone who actually watched that stream, and to Morso and people as well. It wasn't a good race for me. Eventually, then came back to P5. Not really too much happened here. And yeah, that race, I really needed to just chill out and take a week off, which is exactly what I did. And Leopard, because he won that race, he now led the championship by 14 points now. And I just really needed to just get my head back in the game once again. But now we arrive at Silverstone for round 6 in this championship. And after having a very poor last race, where not only did I not drive quick, but I was just really disappointed with my mental attitude of just not keeping calm and just composed. As I said, I really did kind of lose my head there. And yeah, I really needed to bounce back here now. But so far in this qualifying session, coming into this race, obviously it's Silverstone, one of my best tracks in the game. I was really, really looking forward to this and really looking to just literally just get back to how I was myself before, knowing what I can do, and really just coming back. The best way to recover from a race like I had before was really to just give it my all here. But so far in the qualifying, it actually isn't going that well at all, because I've actually invalidated every single lap I've done so far. And the setup I'm using here was a setup that was very, very good in the race. It wasn't as good in qualifying. In the season open, I ran a setup where I did 0.3s, and I could even do 0.2 to 0.1s with that setup. This setup here definitely was not possible to do 0.2 or below. I tried very hard to do it, but in the race, it was a lot quicker, and particularly in the second stint of the race on the harder tyre. It was very good at keeping its tyres, very good in traction. Definitely more understeery, but that's what you need.
Is he on a lap or what?
And now we're trying to complete this lap, because this is the last chance I really have to do a good lap. We could put less than 1 lap of fuel in this car. And yeah,
you fucking idiot.
We decided to completely gamble, didn't go for a banker lap at all.
Idiot.
And that means, after we complete this lap, well, what it could have been, that means we're effectively going to be starting last in this race, and I believe we actually are going to be starting that. So you can see on the pole lap, we're only less than a tenth down on the pole lap, so I wasn't particularly happy with this lap either, to be honest, but I think the setup I'm running, if I got a 0.3, 0.4, that would have been a seriously good time, as Carl Mitchell bangs in a 25.2, which I definitely wouldn't be able to beat with this car setup I was running here. But coming across the line, it's 25.5, and I think that would have been enough for P4 on the grid, so you'll be able to see here now, at the end of quali, decided to not put 2 laps of fuel in the car for the qualifying session. And we are going to be starting last with my rival, LCR Leopard. He's going to be starting P2 this race. And it's game on now. It's all or nothing. I need to get a good result here, because if I don't get a good result here and he gets more than 25 points away, it's going to be very hard to win this championship, because I believe there's only 10 or 11 rounds in this championship, because 2019 comes out soon. And we just got to do everything we can here now.
Well, at least I have no one behind me.
And yeah, at least I don't have anyone behind me at all. So Coming onto the start grid, I was feeling really relaxed, really composed. I was super confident in my pace because in practice it was a massive step up from when I did the season open around here. So I was really confident that when I won that race. But now we just got to focus, pick our moments, and we've got 5 lights now. And we're trying to get a good start here, which we do, and we do have the benefit of starting on fresh tyres since we are outside the top 10. Decided to stay on the soft tyre rather than the Austria where I decided to go on the alternate strategy. And we're trying to thread our car through here. Already made up one position already, and now just really being quite aggressive. And a lot of cars have gone out wide, and I think LCR Leopard is actually one of those cars that has been involved at instant there. I think it's been pushed around a little bit, and we're into 7th place in this race. And that's 6th position as we've been pushed a little bit out wide by EVR Reynolds, but wasn't going to get too flustered by that. Didn't really react to that or anything at all. Really just trying to learn my lesson from last race. So just keeping calm, as I said, and just knowing that we've got a long way to go in this race. There's no point throwing the toys out the pram or anything at all.
Yes.
And yeah, I was pretty hyped at that, going from 13th to 7th on the first lap, with my rival actually behind me already. So I don't know exactly what happened on that first lap, but a lot of cars got involved there. And P&R Brown has actually gone out wide, almost going into the back of him, going for Magnus and Beckett. And now we're going to go round the outside of him. So I think he's probably got a little bit of damage here. Was quite wary of that yellow flag, and I was quite wary of it in turn 3 because I didn't want to get a legal overtake. But now we're into 6th place in this race, and we've had a phenomenal start. We've had the perfect start to this race, and sometimes you need a little bit of luck to go your way, and I've definitely had my fair share of luck, but I've also had a lot of bad luck, I feel, in my opinion, in my league racing career. So to have this luck at this moment in time, it couldn't have gone at a more perfect time in this league this season so far. And now we're really putting some pressure on EVR rounds, but again, being aggressive but being calculated as well. Don't want to get damage here because we're on fresh tyres. I know we're going to have some extremely good pace now. Just got to take our time. Try not to do a repeat of what we did on lap 1. Going around the outside. This time, he leaves me a little bit more room this time. And with the straight line speed, I was confident enough that I should be making it ahead into his breaker zone. Go around the outside. We actually make a slight bit of contact. I left him room on the inside. And now that's us into 5th place in this race behind VSR Syrah. And I was just feeling so hyped right now. I just felt completely in the zone. I wasn't even thinking of the championship or anything at this point, to be honest. I was literally just focused on the next car ahead of me, that next corner, next braking zone, the next moment I have to change my ERS and fuel. I was just completely focused on the task at hand. And we're getting a very good run on Syrah, who again, I think he did suffer a little bit of damage on that first lap. So I was really surprised that I was actually closing up to these guys as quick as we could, as Carl Mitchell has got a very big lead. He started on pole and he managed to get away. So you can see how much of a gap he has got at this moment in time. I think there's quite a big gap that he's got between him and myself. As he sets a 29.6, so he's confirming that he's got the pace, and that's a pretty good lap for this stage in the race. Syrah is actually starting to lag a little bit here. But again, trying not to get too frustrated, just really trying to pick my moment here. And we're going to go for his right-hander, getting a very good run. And now we're going to go down the inside because it's crucial that we get past him. I cannot afford to be held up by him and get into the clutches of the train behind. And that was a pretty simple move. And now we're into 4th place behind my teammate CRL Rosberg. And again, just being completely focused and just focusing on the next corner hand by hand. But the next few laps drove super consistent, managed to pull away from the guys behind, and we've actually caught up to my teammate now. And Snazzy Eving and Mitchell, they've made a little bit of a gap in front, as LCR Leopard is now starting to pick up the pace. Now he's starting to come through the field once again, and now behind my teammate, it's important again that we get past him as quick as we can. Wasn't in the party of him, haven't actually been in the party of him this season. I really kind of just like to just focus on myself and just focus on my own race. No team orders here, but he actually decides to let me pass, and you'll be able to hear me say in a second.
You need to do that.
Yeah, I was just saying thank you there, because honestly, he really didn't need to do that, and I didn't ask him to do that, but he felt he didn't have the pace at the moment. We obviously want to win the Constructors as well, and he's let me pass on. Now we're into a P3 as Carl Mitchell has now pitted now, because I actually started to close in on the lead group quite a bit, and there's a quite big gap behind. I think Leopard's actually pitted a lap before me as well as my teammate, and you can see the gap is about 3 seconds to Snazzy Eving. But coming through the second sector, starting the third sector, we've closed 6 tenths on this lap, only 2 tenths away from my PB in this race. And again, I was just driving probably the best I've done so far in this game, and I was just so determined. I really just said to myself that I'm going to win this race. There's no option but to win this race, to try and do the last to first potentially. But I knew it was going to be a very, very tall order, but I just had a feeling that something special was going to happen in this race, and I was just going to give it absolutely everything I could. But the gap to a leader, Carl Mitchell, was quite a big gap before this pit stop, and we've still got a decent gap to Snazzy Eving, who is by no means a very easy person to pass, and let alone catch. He's probably one of the quickest guys on raw pace in this game, and we'll be able to see now Carl Mitchell going across the start-finish line now. You can see that orange dot. Let's see how far away he's ahead of me, and looks like he's going to have quite a big gap actually, and the mediums are very, very cold. But we've got to watch out for my championship rival. That is LCR Leopard. You can see the yellow dot on the bottom of the screen. We've come out quite a way ahead of him, but as I said, the medium tyres, they take so long to heat up, and you can easily lose around about a second on the first lap when you're trying to warm up these tyres. So I was pretty conscious of that, but again, my mindset here was just try not to focus on that gap, and just focus on just driving the fastest, the best I could. And the gap is, I think, 3.5 seconds behind me, and I think the gap in front is about 3 or so seconds or something like that as well. Checking to see if Leopard's got any penalties behind, but I believe he doesn't have any penalties this stage, so it was game on. I knew how fast he was around here as well, and I know he had the ability to definitely catch me. But moving on to a couple of laps now, and I just got in the zone. I was just in complete, total focus. And I did a video recently where I was driving a new level, setting the quickest lap of the race. And again, Leopard did close in on the lap when I came out of the pits, because I was on the cold tyres. But you can see here, we've closed up on Snazzy Eving, and we've left LCR Leopard, we've left him behind, and putting away a few tenths of the lap. I was just, I was driving at another level again, or probably the same level I drove at when I did the Spain League race before. I was just driving with just complete focus, and I was just so determined to just give it my absolute all this race, no matter what the result. I was just going to give it my absolute maximum, as Snazzy Eving has actually gone into the pits, and I can confirm he actually had a drive-through penalty, I believe, or if he completed the race, he would have had another 10 seconds added on to his race time. So I think that's the reason why he went in. And the gap is 5 seconds between myself and Carl Mitchell, with the gap behind ever increasing. And we're just going to skip through the laps now, because I said to myself at this point, I'm just going to try and close in him, put some pressure on him, and just see what can happen in this race. And you can see the gap is starting to actually come down, and you can see how consistent we are. We're doing a 28 every single lap of this race, and again, I just was driving with a consistency and just an intensity that I really haven't done, really, compared to when I was on the pad. I was driving at that kind of level, and right now you're probably wondering why I'm pushing so hard. I haven't got a penalty or anything, but Carl Mitchell actually does potentially, in fact, have a penalty. And I hadn't even checked it at this point. I don't have anyone in my ear. I was just pushing just in case to see if he did have a penalty or not. And this lap will be the lap where I really do decide that. And again, behind, LCR Leopard is no threat to me in this race, and I was just stunned at just how well I was driving at this point. And you can see the gap now is about 3.6 seconds, if I can read that correctly. But coming off this corner, this is probably where I'm going to be checking, just to see if he does have somewhat of a penalty or not. But which I'm not going to check this time here. Put it into high mix. Still got a little bit of fuel left, but with something definitely that I need to be paying attention to. And I think we're going to stay on board for the rest of this race now, because these are probably the most important laps I've done of this race. And just showing an example of how I was driving, literally just inch to inch perfect that I was driving here and going purple once again. The gap is 3.4 seconds with the gap behind. We pulled away from Leopard about 2 seconds in a sense. So Mitchell is driving, his pace he's going is incredibly quick as well. I think if he wasn't going this pace, I probably wouldn't have stepped up to the level that I'm doing right now. And I was just giving it absolutely everything here. You can probably see by my face, I was being super determined. And the gap has stayed at 3.4 seconds. And I was just really determined to just get it within that 3 seconds, just in case that there was actually something. Using lean through the corners and no ERS, for me, it just gives me better traction and going back into high. But you can see, haven't really got that much ERS or fuel as well. And now we'll go check the gap. Now let's see what Jeff is actually going to say. And he has a time penalty of 3 seconds. And if I needed any more, if I needed more motivation, then that was it right there. And now my mind was just saying, I'm going to win this race. I'm going to do what I thought was impossible at the start of this. And for the championship, I'm 14 points behind LCR Leopard. And I'm just going to give it absolutely everything I can now. But the gap has gone up to 3.5 seconds, if I can read that right. And we've only got 2 laps to go. So making up another 2.5 tenths per lap, especially on the way Carl Mitchell was driving, is going to be quite a difficult task. And tyre wear is not really a big factor around here. You could have pitted lap 8 and gone to the end relatively comfortably. So it's not a big advantage, or really any advantage at all, in my opinion, going a lap early or having fresher tyres or anything at all. But now we've just got to just, as I said, just give it all or nothing now. And if I could win this race, then it would probably be one of the best victories I've ever had in a league race, considering where we started, the circumstances of the championship, and just the performance I did here. I hadn't put a foot wrong. I haven't got a single warning this race, and I'll be leaving a link to the full live stream as well if anyone wants to watch that, if they want to help themselves around this track or anything at all. But honestly, this race, I can't remember if I made a mistake or not. And I was just giving it full commitment, not worried about corn cutting or anything at all. You can see going through this corner here, you can see how hard we're pushing almost right on the edge of the track. So not really leaving anything on the table. We're slowly closing on Carl Mitchell whilst pulling away from LCR Leopard. And you can see through here, sliding the car, going right to the edge of the track, just giving it the absolute maximum. And now it's 3 seconds between me and Carl Mitchell with LCR Leopard. The gap is stabilising to almost 5 seconds behind now. And we've only got a tiny bit of fuel left and ERS as well. So we can't afford to waste it as much as possible, because for all I knew, he might have saved Rich and his full power for the end of his lap. So I've just got to try and extract it as much as possible. As we actually set the quickest lap of the race within 3 seconds now. And Leopard actually matches that quickest lap as well. So we confirm we both do have the pace, but we've just been much more consistent as we've actually gone in deep on this last lap. And that could be the difference between me winning this race and me coming in second place. But again, just got to give it everything now. Just catching the oversteer coming off this corner. And I was really not happy of how the fuel was in this last lap. So I've got to put it into lean here and put it into no ERS. And the gap has gone back up to 3 seconds now. So that little mistake has actually cost me a tenth of a second. So it's so important now that I get a very good exit of this corner. Leaving it in overtake. We're probably going to leave it in Rich till Maggotts and Beckett. And yeah, we'll actually even standard, because the fuel is that low. We're seriously at risk of actually running out. And now we'll go put back down to leave Maggotts and Beckett. No ERS through here. And just try and use the last charge down this main straight. And again, just throwing it in. Just doing everything we can. Leaving a little bit of room on the table there, because the car was starting to slide around. And now it's 2.7 seconds here. And we'll be able to see the gap behind. The gap has gone up to 4.7 to 5.1. So again, we're just extracting everything we can from this car. And through this chicane, I was just going to go really deep, really fast, making it super tight for the right, but just to carry just the extra speed as possible. Didn't really care about the exit speed. Coming across the line now.
Yes! Move! Yes! Fucking
Yes! Get the fuck in! Oh, it's in there.
And we have somehow won this race from last place on the grid. And honestly, you can see by my reaction there, it meant so much to me. And that's my very first victory that I've done in this league as well. I've had so many second places in this league. I think I've had over double-digit second places, over 10 second places in this league. And to do it in the manner I did there, with the drive I did, with no warnings or any mistakes really until the last lap, I honestly couldn't have wished to do it at a better pace at my favourite track. And I can confirm that actually gives me the championship lead, because LCR Leopard actually got a 10-second penalty as well for actually pushing a driver out of the way on the first lap, which is EVR Reynolds, or on the second lap. So he actually got demoted down to 5th, which means I lead the championship by 1 point now. And it's absolutely game on in this championship, from being 14 points behind to back leading it. I was just lost for words this race. And I just want to thank you everyone so much for supporting me who watched this. Honestly, without that, I wouldn't really have driven the way I did there. And it's going to be one hell of a championship now. I will be streaming at 7:30 on Fridays, GMT time. We're at Hockenheim this Friday. And yeah, I just can't wait for the rest of this season now. So thank you so much for everyone support me and watch me. Hopefully you may have learned something or maybe inspired by this. And yeah, honestly, probably one of the best league races I've ever done there, with no warnings at all. So thank you so much, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.